Good morning. Welcome to another episode of College Coffee and COVID Talk. Pearl and Andy Lockwood here. Good morning, Pearl.
Good morning, Andy. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning to anyone and everyone enjoying a cup of joe or other beverage, preferably not adult. I shouldn't say preferably. I don't mean to judge. It is a little early. So welcome and introduce yourselves or say hi in the chat here. We will be taking questions. Today, we are going to be covering the latest hijinks on the SAT and the ACT. There's been a lot of people trying to register who can't. There's preference given to some families and not to others. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of scrambling behind the scenes. And we're going to be bringing on our celebrity guest tutor, our celebrity tutor as a guest to College Coffee and COVID Talk, Marissa Unenberg, in a minute. But first, this is a sort of a departure for us. We don't usually get political and talk about current events, but I thought it was important. Pearl, can you read some of the comments about a tragedy that has occurred recently and not affected us all, affected some of us? Yeah. So these are comments from Facebook.
Yeah, these are comments from Facebook from many different people,
parents and families who've been affected.
Dealing with the tragedy. I'll start with this one. Tears falling and heartbroken watching this beautiful but sad video with the confirmation of Camp Chippendale closing for the summer. Heartbroken for the loss of my girls' summer, where they thrive in every way. Heartbroken for the staff and all of the families. I know it's the right decision, and I appreciate how much care, love, and thought that was put into making this difficult decision, trying to open if they could. I know that the bonds here will always be there no matter what. Haley and Alexa will miss Chippendale this summer and hope to see all of their beloved camp friends soon. Yep, me too. Another parent. And if I put it on, referring to a video that the camp put out, I think about it too much. I start to cry all over again. Such a loss for everyone.
What about the emojis? By the way, if you're just joining us, Pearl's reading some Facebook comments about a tragedy that has not affected us all, but it's affected some of us in a very real way. Yes, we're talking about summer camp being closed.
It's all
and wait, I just want to say this stemmed from last week. From every morning, Pearl and I have coffee around 5:36, and she was like, "Oh my God!" And she started reading these comments like this with this tone, and I said, "We have to put this on."
This all sucks. This sucks. If you have kids, oh, this breaks my heart. I know. Kane is so sad he is not going to see his friends this summer.
which is funny to me.
I feel your pain.
wait
Hours canceled last week. So sad for all these kids. Well, thank God they still have parents, right?
Right. Well,
I feel so bad. What's plan B? Help. The Herna family is gutted. I think this is a new expression. Gutted, like you have ripped my insides out, is gutted. But we credit you with both teaching our children kindness, resilience, and perseverance. That's what is going to get them through these challenging days. And summer 2021 is going to be the best ever.
May I? I know your method acting.
An immense gratitude from our family to yours. Now we all just need a good cry. We are so heartbroken.
And if you're just joining us, we're not commenting on any of the civil unrest. We are Pearl's reading comments on Facebook about camp closures. Be strong.
Not done.
I don't want you to be done. I'm just pointing out. If we do anything on this show on College Talk Tuesday, we try to offer a little perspective, and I can't think of a better way than Pearl continuing to read a few more comments from disaffected jappy parents who are bemoaning that their kids are having their camp sessions canceled.
And they'll have a whole no longer 8 weeks, because it used to be a full summer, but now it's 7 weeks. What the heck are they going to do with their kids?
And what are the parents going to, some of the parents who like to dispatch their kids away, like, what are they going to do?
Right.
Anything else before we comment?
These are from various camps. I'm not just picking on one.
Pearl as a camper herself, by the way, a Chippewa camper alum.
Forever.
Color War General.
Red and gray forever. This is devastating news. I can't believe that it has come to this. This place forever holds a special place in my heart. And I'm gutted for everyone. There we go again. Gutted for everyone that this summer will not be going ahead. Sending love to you all at this very, very sad time. Heart. Heart in the color of camp blue. This is so sad. I feel so bad for all these children. Thank you for making this incredibly difficult decision. And I'm so sorry that your children will be spending the summer in Aleppo, Syria. Oh my God.
Okay, can I? That was the one that struck me the most, which was, I mean, there's so many things to talk about that, besides just the comedic value of having Pearl in around on Facebook and in the family. Thank you for making this decision so we don't have to make this decision for our kids. So we don't have to be the ones telling our kids you can't go to camp, because
we don't want them to be mad at us.
And I'm not saying that all the stuff about coronavirus is true or not true, but you know, who in their right mind would decide to send their kids to camp without really knowing what the impacts are going to be? Thank you for making this decision so we don't have to make this decision. That's what I was reading into it.
Yeah.
And what about the one about Plan B? Like, oh my God, what's Plan B? Like,
right.
And thank you for teaching. What was it? Thank you for teaching us about resilience.
Resilience. Wow.
How is this teaching them about resilience?
I'm not sure, but if this is what you need to be resilient to, and I'm not, it's a disappointment. It is. I would have felt disappointed too. I was a camper my entire life. I get it. But there's something called perspective.
Right. Thank you.
And do attention to these various levels of disappointments, if you will.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be applying to colleges one day, and you might experience some disappointment there too. Life actually at large, can be disappointing and difficult. But as long as you're armed with this resilience, if you can bounce back from a missing 7 weeks of sleepaway camp, you're going to be just fine.
The Black perspective, the entitlement, it's okay to talk like this. It's baffling to me. It really is. We've, in our own relationship, we've talked about this for years. Pearl was a camper. I was not a camper. I'm going to tell this story, right? About we were once at dinner. This is what, we've been married 25 years now. So this is probably 20 years ago.
I think it was even before we were married.
Okay.
I do.
Wow. And we were out to dinner with two of her friends from camp, and I can't give any details just in case. But it was such a great dinner because I was sitting there just kind of, listening to them talk about camp for about 20 minutes. And then her friend turns to me and says, so where'd you go to camp? And I said, well, I actually didn't go to camp. And because I grew up in Massachusetts, Pearl grew up in Long Island, and okay. And she goes, well, what'd you do? And because I can still picture this. And the other person who was with us, who was the third camper, said, not everyone goes to camp. It's not that big a deal. So that was my first taste of this whole thing. And then we went back. I remember we went back to, you took me there,
yeah, I did.
Right? To your camp.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really understand what was going on. And go ahead, you can say your line. I won't say. I'll let you do this.
So, for those of you who are familiar or not as familiar with camp, it typically culminates into a color war, which is an athletic and writing song competition at the end of the summer. It's a big deal at camp, and the color war event culminates into an event called Sing, a noun. It is a noun in this context. So I dragged Andy to Camp Sing to watch, and he leans over to me and he says, "Why are all those boys crying? Why are they all arm in arm swaying back and forth with each other and crying?" Anyway, it was.
Well, my first question was what you said was like,
when did sing become a noun?
No, what is sing?
What is sing? I'm like,
so everyone's saying we're going to go to sing. You're going to go sing? No, we're going to sing. I'm like, yeah, it was like a Larry David moment.
It was funny.
Yeah,
it was funny.
It was
anyway,
confusing.
Not everybody goes to camp, and it is a wonderful luxury, privilege, source of entertainment for your children.
Yes, and there are many other things. There are plans B and C, and in life and in college, it's really smart to have several backup plans. And I was talking about this in a video I did for our Inner Circle members yesterday, apropos of this, which was that I think the question that our kids need to be prepared to answer, this is just a different angle, but it's really the same topic. Whether they are applying to college and possibly being interviewed, or applying for internships, or applying for jobs, or any type of situation where people are trying to find out about your character, there's going to be a question, well, when everything was shut down, what'd you do? And, if your answer is something like, well, I just studied more, or I couldn't go to camp, so I played a lot of video games, or, whatever, that's not a great answer. Instead, you have an opportunity, all of us have an opportunity to reset, to think about what's important, to become proactive, to show initiative, to come up with, something creative and productive. So there's all sorts of examples of, I have one student I'm working with right now is writing a book. I have another kid who's doing a lot of like online tutoring for the Writing Center at his very tough private parochial school. So there's opportunities to step up and to answer that question. Well, what did you do when things shut down? Should you post that on any of these to these moms?
Which, that they
get over it.
Going to need how to pivot a little bit better.
Yeah, here's a plan B. Shut the F up and get a little perspective.
Yeah,
okay.
Open your doors. Okay. Get outside the house.
Okay. All right. So that was all right. Enough of that. So now let's bring in our celebrity tutor, Marissa. Hello, Marissa. How you doing?
Hello. Good morning. I'm good. Thank you.
All right. So if you're just joining us here on College Coffee and COVID Talk, where we've dispatched with the rant portion of, you could have been a lot worse, but you weren't angry. You were actually very, very funny.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I thought, Pearl, I thought you were getting genuinely upset in the beginning because I was totally blindsided by what was
Look, I'm a method actor, and I really
she's like the Marlon Brando of college advisory.
I was truly convinced.
Yeah.
Okay. Next time you need to read the comments from the College Board Facebook page, because now that's not devastation. That is just sheer unbridled vitriol. People are angry.
Maybe statements. Yeah, Pearl goes on Facebook. That's a great idea.
Yeah. You could do a new topic every week.
Yeah. So if you guys are watching, if you think that's a good idea, just say so in chat. I think we're going to do it no matter what, because she's such a giver. This is your moment. Yeah, this is great. That was great. So okay, so let's segue over. So a lot of problems with the SAT and the ACT. People trying to register who can't. Some people getting priority. Some people who are not. A lot of scrambling behind the scenes. So give us the lay of the land, and then we'll talk about recommendations.
Yeah, it's kind of a mess. Not surprisingly, since this is all very strange situation right now. With the SAT, what is today's date? Today is the 2nd. So until today, some students are supposed to get priority registration so that they can register for the fall exams early. So it's not just for the August, but it's the August, September, November, December. I don't remember if they have an August one. I'm sorry, October one. But a lot of people are getting locked out of the system, even though they are in that priority group. And that priority group are people from the class of 2020 or 2021 who don't yet have an official SAT score. The wording's a little unclear, like in some of their emails, but I think that's what the priority class is supposed to be. And also, I do have people who can get into the registration page, but the August test centers, at least in our area, are completely full. So that's another issue. The August test has only been around, this is only its third year. There have always been issues with testing centers because I think that a lot of schools don't want to open up a week or more before the school actually opens because it's mostly staffed by the teachers. So that makes sense. So now it's compounded by the fact that there's a hugely increased demand. However, they do say that they are working on opening up more testing centers or expanding the availability, the capacity of the existing centers, which I'm not sure how they could possibly do that. But they do say to check in to see if any more spots have been added. So they say that they usually update their information on Tuesdays and Thursdays by noon Eastern time. So I would probably check in at least on Tuesdays and Thursdays, maybe a few times to see if they added any more capacity. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I have any students who got a spot on Long Island at this point. No.
Okay. We have a few questions. I just want to add in terms of what colleges are doing. So I still think you should bend over backwards to get at least one, if not more, good test scores under your belts, because even the schools that are test optional, and it's now how many is it that are newly test optional? I should have prepared more. I was too busy laughing at Pearl's hijinks. But it's definitely close to 100 colleges now that are going temporarily test optional. However, if you have a strong score, that's still going to help your chances of getting in, because even test optional schools, 80% of the kids that they let in submit their scores. It's a must for merit aid if you're going to be applying to schools that award merit aid. It's based on GPA rigor. Actually, not really rigor. It's based on GPA, sometimes rigor, usually not, and scores. So you should get at least one or hopefully more than one solid score under your belt, even if it's a hardship. I do think that schools, if I had to guess, might push back some of the early dates. I haven't seen any evidence of this, of them pushing back early decision, early action from typically November 1 or November 15th to possibly December, to allow kids to have more time, seniors, class of 2021 kids, rising seniors, I should say, who are who haven't had an opportunity to get their highest score yet. But I don't think that the SAT or the ACT are going extinct or going away. There's too much money involved, and frankly, they are good predictors. Not perfect. Nothing's perfect, but they're good predictors of how well kids will fare in college. Their ability. GPA and rigor is probably the top two, but scores are the third in terms of the factors that predict how well kids will do.
Yep. Sometimes it's also personal habits. I think we've come to learn a lot lately. It's more about your ability to time budget, plan things, pivot, as we've talked about, not get undone in the face of stress, anxiety, depression, and be able to live with those things and work with them.
So, all right, we've got some questions here. If you guys have any questions, this is your chance to lob them in. So, Heidi, Newton North High School, class of '86, and Warren Junior High. We go back. Which month does the SAT include the sample section? Isn't it every month?
I'm assuming that's the experimental section. Yeah. I believe it's every month. I haven't heard otherwise.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see.
I wouldn't use that as a basis for making a decision about the test either way, because it's just a shorter test, a shorter section at the end of the test. So it's not going to have an impact on your performance.
Good. Yeah, that's good advice. So Katerina Travada is going through what a lot of us are going through, is keeping your child motivated when you have these moving target dates for
Yeah.
the SAT or the ACT. So what are your thoughts on that?
I feel your pain. I struggle with this every day because I think right now I have about 37 students who I'm trying to keep on track, and it's very, very difficult. I would just focus on like, okay, just assume this is happening in August or September, whichever test you end up getting registered for, and just proceed accordingly. Like, you can't get off track, set some target dates for yourself as you go or for your child. So maybe, take a practice test, put it on the calendar, right? And I think parents should get really involved in test prep, especially now. So maybe proctor your child, make sure that this is happening and try to motivate them, encourage them.
Are you serious?
What?
Yeah. Maybe we can do some online proctoring. Did you ever? I know we talked about that offline a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, I can't make it work with my current software, but maybe we can get a Zoom thing going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, without some encouragement from home, I'm afraid the students aren't going to show up.
Yeah.
For the tests.
I don't think I'm going to be proctoring Lizzie.
No, thankfully, this child
3 hours. Yeah.
motivates herself.
Lizzie is very special.
Yeah, we have 4 kids, by the way.
Not one.
We're not talking about all of them. Okay. All right. So, let me see. So, yeah.
Yikes.
I've heard a lot of comments similar to this. A lot of double speak and hopefully inadvertent, doesn't really matter, but wrong information being given out from the college
Sounds like
board.
financial aid offices.
Yeah, sounds like any bureaucracy. I mean, I to their defense, they're not controlling things. Obviously there's a pandemic and there's the CDC and whatever, but it's frustrating. So this is another, I guess, perseverance lesson.
Yes,
Maybe.
you got to show grit.
Yeah.
Grit grit is a characteristic. Your ability to dig deep, work hard in the face of a lot of unknown.
At least your SING wasn't canceled.
Thank God.
A student got 2 spots. That is hilarious.
Sure.
They should. Have you ever heard of that, Marissa? How can you register twice? They should sell it
Not for the same test date.
Sounds like it. Yeah, they should. It's from Lori Badilla.
They must be getting glitches in their system.
Lori, see if you can buy one of those spots.
You forwarded me a question from a client the other day, and so I logged into my College Board account to see if I could see the available test centers, and it allowed me to start registration for the August test.
You may not have been able to complete it though. That when our daughter Lizzie, who I reminded, hey, you're the one doing this, not us. She got bumped out over and over again.
But then when I logged in again, the August option disappeared completely.
Right. For her too.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Well,
they're confused. We're confused.
I think it was that kid that Lori knows who's scalping,
buying up all those tickets.
Yeah, scalping on StubHub or something. Okay, how do they check the expiration date is June 3rd? What expiration date? Is there an expiration date?
Well, I don't know. June 3rd is the date that registration becomes open to all students. So I think the question is, how do they know what year you're graduating from high school and whether you're in the priority group or the general group? But when you're registering for the SAT, you are required to put in your high school and your graduation date. I guess you could lie. I don't know what kind of consequences that would have.
Yeah.
I don't recommend that.
They have all your information. I wouldn't lie. So
they have your information. You put in your birth date and your graduating year when you are on College Board. It has when you initially obtain your College Board username and password, you're inputting your graduation date. And that is where your old SAT scores, once you've taken them and have old test scores, that is where your prior test scores will be housed. So that is another way the system is going to know whether you've taken one or not. If you haven't taken one, it's going to say no scores to show.
It's very hard for me to do this thinking about those poor kids who are having their camp canceled this summer.
I know, I'm very distracted.
Yeah.
Myself.
What are they going to do? They don't go to camp. Okay. Melissa Goldstein, what is considered a good score for merit aid? So the short answer is it's a sliding scale because it depends on the schools that you're applying to. But typically ACT at least 30, 32 I would, it just based on my anecdotal experience. And I guess for the SAT, the equivalent, which I think would be in the mid 13s and higher. Does that equate?
That sounds about right.
Yeah. It's terrible that they require the SAT for merit aid. So the funny thing is that a lot of these colleges, they're very squishy or inexact about the language that dictates the requirements. There's not a lot of precision of language. So when I look up the requirements or how they figure out who gets the presidential scholarship or the chancellor's scholarship, it usually has language along the lines of recipients tended to be in the top 20% of their classes, intended to have scores of blah, blah, intended to have GPAs of such and such. So, but it's discretionary, and but it's to their benefit, these colleges, because they want to attract kids with high grades and scores, because that has a lot to do with how they're ranked from U.S. News and World Report. All right, Aaron Mac. Is that a Macintosh Apple on your head? Should someone? Yeah, it's funny. Should someone take the SAT with essay and subject tests if you don't know yet what schools will actually require it? We haven't finished making our list yet. I would say yes.
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to hold it against you if they don't require it. But if you do end up applying to schools that require it, then you'll feel really relieved that you have it done.
With any of these questions, just remember all of your efforts, whether it's showing enough motivation and work towards your studies for test prep now, or whether or not to take a subject test. You want to do everything that is within your bandwidth to further your having the most choices available to you. And what is going to provide you the most choice available is if you have a higher score, if you have the SAT subject tests, because you might be looking at a school that may come in your fold at a point that that school requires the SAT subject test, but if you haven't taken them, then you have to close that one off your list. You want all your choices to be yours, and you don't want to preclude yourself from anything.
The only thing I would add is that you don't have to have a really super high score on the essay component.
Oh, yeah.
Colleges de-emphasize that the most, and you'd be pretty surprised at how average the essay scores are at the most elite schools in the country, Ivy League and so forth. All right. Christina Albano, will you be offering a short SAT prep review in August? We talked about that. I know we're doing longer ones. Maybe.
I mean, if there's demand, certainly. So if anybody else watching would like a shorter review, because right now we have long review classes that I've spread out throughout the whole summer so that kids can take advantage of this time, but not have like such an intense experience. So it's just like an hour a week. But if there's demand for like a brief review in August, absolutely, that's something that I'm happy to consider.
If they're having the test in September, right? Then that should probably inform our answer too. So yeah. I think we should do that because people could use the review.
I mean, there are people who are getting registered, so maybe.
All right, long-time listener, not first-time commenter, Mr. Rothstein, Sydney. If your child was registered for the June SAT before it was canceled, and they are prioritized for the next test, use the email sent to you to register them. Good tip. I registered my child by going directly to the College Board and was not able to until I used the email link. Seems crazy, but just happened. All the best.
I like that.
Great pro tip. He is really pulling his weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. I
have to share that with all of my students as soon as I'm done with this.
Good one.
I mean, I guess with all the golf courses closed, he's got time to do this now. So that's, but we're the beneficiaries of that. Thank you very much, Sid.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great.
Thoughts on subject tests? That's from Kathy Pike. Well, the answer, my thoughts depend on what schools you're applying to. A lot of elite schools want them. I know there's been a lot of, discussion about whether they're going to be having them or not, but I would take them if you're applying to an elite school. The Ivies and Ivy Plus and similar schools, they may want 2. Schools like Georgetown traditionally want 3. So sit for them, and you really need to be, mid 700s to help your cause of getting into those schools. You guys? Marissa?
Are there any other schools that require 3?
That's the only one I know of, but sometimes it's like schools like MIT or some of the really competitive schools.
And I would take the subject test that if you're taking an AP now, right, sign up for the subject tests that are the same subject as your AP, so because that information will be very fresh in your mind, assuming you did well in class.
Yeah, part 2. Okay. Lori Badillo, gritty, good. Signed up for Huntington and Roslyn. Okay.
Wow, this is the first time I've heard of anyone nabbing a spot on Long Island.
Yeah.
And it's a little disappointing to hear that someone took 2 of them.
Yeah, I bet that'll come out in the wash.
Yeah.
Or they'll show up at the test center and they won't be able to take either. that'll be awful.
Well, on Long Island, I think that I'm a little worried about the tests opening in August. So yeah, it could be a moot point for some people.
At what point, this is a loaded question, what point do you think we'll know if August or September or October tests will need to be online versus in person if the virus comes back in the fall?
Well, I mean, right now the ACT is supposed to be held in 11 days, and it's a mess, right? A lot of people are just getting notified of cancellations in our area. I had one student in another state who got notified that the test was canceled, and then the ACT emailed back and said, oh, it's actually being held now. Mm-hmm. That was in, I believe, North Carolina. So nobody, you will need a crystal ball to answer that question. The ACT is very explicit, saying that they're going to start notifying students of cancellations on May 26th, but they could happen at any point up until the test actually happens. So yeah, this is very
spiciness.
Right. Well, perhaps and again, this is just some food for thought. Maybe there is something to be gleaned from what some of the colleges have decided to do in terms of online, in-person, hybrid in the fall. Many schools have not yet decided and are waiting still, but for those who have, for example, Tulane and Notre Dame, for example, they just last week notified their students that they are planning an early August start, working through skipping the October fall break and working through till Thanksgiving, and that would be the end of the first semester, to cut back on the back and forth of the students for contagion purposes, and perhaps in anticipation of the second wave coming around December, was some of the unofficial chatter about this plan being put in place at Tulane, Notre Dame, and other schools as well. Perhaps the college board will mimic its schedule to that. Perhaps, maybe, we'll see.
My question about all that is, and then what happens when we're in peak cold and flu season in January? Like, do they go back?
And then we do this again until it's okay again.
I don't know. I haven't read anything about that yet. But anyway, okay.
I think it will be also regional, depending on where we live.
Right.
Makes sense. Ooh, I didn't know that. Jenny says that she heard the CEO of the ACT was ousted.
Well, I read that she was an interim CEO.
Okay.
I don't know if that's revisionist or not. And, their website doesn't say she was ousted, but that, she stepped down, or I don't know. They just hired a permanent
family
person. I don't know. I don't know if I can read anything political into this or not.
Did you put your resume in? Are you?
I can't confirm or deny that.
Okay. Okay. Do we think subject test material will be shortened like the AP test? That's from Kathy Pike. There's a good possibility because of if they're online and anti-cheating maneuvers. But
they were pretty vague about, they said that they will create a digital version, but they didn't tell us any information about whether the tests would be shorter or longer. The APs are, the subject tests are pretty short already. They're only 1 hour each. So I'm really not sure. They'll probably design it so that Googling the answers won't help you.
Right.
Hate that.
Yeah. All right. Christina Albano. This is a question to Lori. Did you find out from your son's school if they are taking a test in September, October to substitute for the spring one that was canceled? Interesting.
Hold on. Wait, what was that for, the SAT or the AC? SAT, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So I just read something on their website. I think, did I write it down? They did say that they're adding a school day administration in September. So for the students who are going to take that March SAT in school, they said they'll add it in September, and schools will have an option of having it in October. So I think that it's not going to be automatic. It's going to depend on your school, but there's a possibility that they'll be offering it in September or October. I would imagine that if you had it in March, that your school will probably sign up for that.
Lori, the College Board, how do they even come up with the subject test dates yet when they can't be confident the SATs will even take place? Yeah, they put the dates out, and then if they have to change them, they have to. But
I mean, the subject test dates are basically the same as the SAT dates. They're not, sometimes there'll be a date where it's only for the SAT and not for the subject test dates, but they're the same dates.
Okay. All right.
All right.
I love it when I learn from our viewers.
Yeah, this is great for us too. The Dr. Appositas family. Thank you guys for joining us. Okay. Interesting. I didn't know this either. I don't know if this is true. The SAT, this is Lori Badillo. I heard that the SAT, if it's online, it's going to be held at a test center and not in your home. That doesn't really make sense to me. Is that?
I don't think that's the case. Now sometimes I get the SAT and the ACT mixed up because I'm reading about both of them constantly, but I'm pretty sure the language said a digital at-home version for the College Board.
Yeah.
I mean, the ACT, this could be where the confusion is coming from. The ACT has always had a computer-based test coming out in September, right, for what's called section testing. So students can take just one section at a time, or 2 or 3 at a time if they want. That was supposed to be in a testing center. That was never originally designed to be taken at home. So of course, now with this unique situation, both the SAT and the ACT are designing at-home computer-based tests. So I don't think that's true. That would make no sense at all. I don't see why you have more distancing at a computer center versus the computer isn't stopping the virus from spreading.
Yeah. Just to clarify, the section testing, which was slated to happen this fall, that's only after you've taken one full test, right? On the ACT.
Yeah, you can't take your first test just as a single section.
Yeah. All right. So Ann Panopoulos, what are the chances the SAT will be online? I think pretty good. What do you think?
I tend to be kind of a pessimist, so I'm pretty convinced that we'll have online tests in the fall, but I've been known to be wrong.
You're not a betting woman, are you?
No.
All right. Just more of a cat woman. Okay.
Where's the cat?
Yeah, where's your cat?
She's actually right next to me.
Okay.
Show our viewers.
She's enjoying.
That's one fluffy cat. Okay, just going through the rest of the comments here before we wrap up. Yeah, this is actually I've heard this a lot too from Kathy. Am I pronouncing your name right? Is that you think it's Pike? You can't really correct me on it. So consider that rhetorical. So if what's the deal with it? Have you heard anything about the AP tests covering what scope are they going to cover? If a lot of the teaching was done in March, are they going to adjust the scope of the AP test to only cover that material that went through March? I don't know how they would even do that.
The subject tests?
Yeah. Well, this is the AP test, so
I think they're over.
Yeah. So subject tests will be full much. Okay. So it's like, right. She's comparing this to the APs. So we'll send the full material. I think they will be, right?
They haven't made any announcements about that as far as I know, but I would imagine that they're going to try to be as understanding as possible. I mean, they're not AP tests, so it's not like they're designed exactly to follow the AP curriculum, but
Right.
they're close enough. Yeah, but that's a good question. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay. Jenny Ross again. Do you think international students will be attending colleges virtually this fall or taking the year off? I think it's going to be country by country, but schools need them to come badly, mostly because they're full paying. And I think they're going to do whatever they can possibly do. We have a few international students. I haven't talked to them in a couple of weeks, but as far as I know, they are expecting to come this fall. So I think mostly they will be coming this fall. Adrian Katz, my son planned to take both SAT and ACT, but at this point, with testing so difficult to come by, do you think he should concentrate on the one he's more comfortable with? Marissa?
Well, this advice has not changed since the pre-pandemic days. We always advise to concentrate on one of the tests. What I would recommend is to take a practice test or diagnostic test in each of them to see which one not only that he's more comfortable with, but which one he does better on, because it doesn't always match up, although it usually does. But yeah, I don't like splitting the energy between the two different tests and going back and forth. I think it's a lot, and especially when testing season comes. Is he going to be taking 2 tests a month?
Yeah.
Right.
That's
For whatever
really
it's worth, Marissa, correct me if I am wrong, because I have not actually taken your class. But you do typically start with a diagnostic exam with elements of both the ACT and SAT. The student takes, and then there is generally a clear leaning of which exam after that diagnostic is done.
Yeah, I mean, some students do have very similar scores. That's also very common, but other students perform way better on one test than another. So using that and the students' feedback, we decide which test to concentrate on. So I really don't recommend studying for both at the same time. Some students, once they've reached their max on one test, they do sometimes move on to the next. That's not that common, but it does happen. But yeah, I like concentrating on one at a time, especially now. This is just insanity.
So we're going to be offering, I guess we didn't talk about this, but I guess we should do 2 things. One, we're going to be offering a free class where you're going to be teaching both tests in 1 hour, right? Like a sample class. And that's going to be in 2 weeks on the, what did we say? The
June 18th, you said? I thought.
June.
It is the 18th. Yep. So that would be 8 p.m. our time, New York time.
Yeah. So we're going to set that up and we'll post the link and people can sign up for that. It's free. I think we should probably also offer the hybrid test. I guess we would do that unproctored. The only issue with that is that I don't know if we can do that for free because you've got to spend a fair amount of time grading that.
Yeah.
But, if anyone's interested, just message us here or
It's valuable information to have.
Yeah.
And for anybody who signs up for our class,
okay,
I can offer that for free.
Okay, good.
But you register the class. Now I know you've got to register for one, right? But we can always change. We could switch you to another class if it turns out that your diagnostic indicates otherwise.
Okay, so we'll figure that out, and then maybe we'll charge like a nominal $20 thing just to have you.
Yeah, and I can offer a proctored diagnostic since it is a strangely timed exam.
Good. Okay. And Panopla, so cute. Well, thanks. I work out a little bit and I try to take care of myself. Pearl's here, but it's a little weird. All right, she meant the cat. Fine. Peck, not Peck, like Gregory Peck. So Kathy Gregory, got it. David Rebecca misses you.
Yeah, this is a crazy, crazy time.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people are on hold.
Yeah. Some international students are going to college virtually, according to Laura Bedell. Yes. Sid, it's another insightful comment. If Marissa becomes a CEO of ACT, does that mean she can no longer tutor for the SAT? If she does, I don't think she should take the CEO position. So that's really a compliment.
It's very limited thinking.
Right.
She can do it all.
Right. Yeah. He's so by the book, Mr. Rothstein. Yeah. So proper.
I'll just assume an alias.
Right, exactly. Can't have any double dealing from the ACT. All right, so why don't we wrap up here? Any closing bits of wit and wisdom? I always give you that opportunity because I know you like to share.
Well, we kind of concentrated a lot on the SAT today, but I just want to remind everybody that the ACT registration for the fall test opens at some point in July. So keep checking with the ACT website if you would like to register for one of those tests. They also say that because we do have the tests in June and July coming up, right? They have pre-scheduled makeup dates 1 week later. Not sure what that's going to do another week, but just be aware of that. And they say that students will be notified of their test cancellations by mail. They'll also be posting them on the website. So, yep.
Thank you. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Please like, comment, and share. And for all you campers, you'll get through this.
Hang in.
Yeah. Persevere. All right. We'll be back next week with another episode of College Coffee and COVID Talk. That's at 10 a.m. We've got a really, I don't know if I told you this. We have a very special episode. We're going to be bringing in a studying and organizing and learning specialist. She's got a PhD in literally astrophysics from
And it's not
from Princeton, and it's going to be cool and worthwhile. Awesome. So I hope everyone can join us for that. And we also every Friday I respond to one question that we receive during the week on FAQ Us Friday. We post that every Friday morning, usually before 10 o'clock. So if you have any questions that didn't get answered, you can go right to our website, lockwoodcollegeprep.com/FAQ-US, FAQ-US. Thanks a lot for joining us and have a great week. Bye-bye.
Bye.